First contact's price. The quantum lab hummed with an otherworldly resonance as Dr. Sarah Chen stared at her monitors in disbelief. The patterns dancing across her screen defied everything she thought she knew about quantum mechanics. Her team had been working on quantum entanglement communication for years, but this was different. The quantum signatures they were detecting weren't just connected. They were singing. "Dr. Chen, you need to see this." Marcus Webb, her lead research assistant, called from across the lab. His voice carried an urgency she'd never heard before. "The harmonic patterns, they're not random. They're organized, and they're everywhere." Sarah moved to his station, her heart racing. The quantum field visualizations showed countless points of light, all pulsing in perfect synchronization. It was beautiful, terrifying, and impossible. These weren't natural phenomena. They were artificial quantum nodes, and they blanketed the entire planet. "How long have they been there?" she whispered, though she already knew the answer. The nodes weren't new. They'd always been there, invisible to humanity until now. Their breakthrough in quantum harmonics hadn't just advanced their communication technology. It had lifted a veil. "We're being watched," Marcus said, his voice barely audible over the lab's ambient hum. "We've been watched for God knows how long." The realization hit Sarah like a physical blow. Earth wasn't alone, hadn't been alone for centuries. And whoever was watching them had technology so advanced it might as well be magic. Within hours, the lab was swarming with government officials. Within days, similar discoveries were reported at quantum research facilities across the globe. The quantum observation network that enveloped Earth was vast, sophisticated, and had been completely undetectable until humanity stumbled upon the right frequency. Dr. James Morrison, Sarah's mentor and the project's director, stood before a hastily assembled panel of world leaders, military commanders, and scientists. His normally confident voice wavered as he explained the implications. "These quantum nodes are part of a monitoring system," he said, gesturing to the holographic display showing the global network. "Based on their distribution and complexity, we estimate they've been in place for at least 300 years. They're perfectly tuned to observe everything from our technological development to our social structures." "Are you saying we're some kind of experiment?" The Chinese representative's question hung heavy in the air. "More like a zoo exhibit," Sarah interjected, earning sharp looks from several officials. "The level of sophistication in these quantum nodes suggests whoever placed them views us as primitive. They're studying us, but they never intended for us to notice them." The room erupted in angry murmurs, but Sarah continued. "Our discovery of quantum harmonics wasn't supposed to happen. According to their timeline, we're probably centuries away from this level of understanding. We've accidentally glimpsed behind the curtain." The implications were staggering. Humanity had just proven itself more capable than their watchers had anticipated. But with that achievement came danger. If Earth was under observation by an advanced alien civilization, their response to this development could be anything from diplomatic contact to immediate intervention. Sarah's team worked tirelessly to understand the quantum network. Each discovery revealed new layers of complexity, but also new opportunities. The quantum nodes weren't just observational. They were communicative, part of a vast interstellar network. "We can use this," Sarah announced one night, after another marathon research session. Her small team gathered around as she explained. "The nodes are calibrated to transmit data, but they also receive. If we can match their quantum frequency perfectly, we could potentially send our own message." "Is that wise?" Marcus asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. "We don't know how they'll react." Sarah looked at each of her colleagues in turn. "They've been watching us for centuries, deciding we're not worth talking to. I say it's time we start the conversation ourselves." The decision to reach out was not made lightly. Global leaders debated, scientists argued, and the public, once informed, was divided. But in the end, the choice was clear. Humanity couldn't pretend they hadn't made this discovery. They couldn't unring this bell. On a cool autumn morning, Sarah stood before her quantum array, surrounded by the world's leading scientists and government representatives. The message they'd crafted was simple, a series of quantum pulses that demonstrated their understanding of the technology and requested communication. "This could change everything," Marcus said softly as they initiated the sequence. Sarah nodded, watching the quantum harmonics align. "It already has." The message pulsed through the quantum network, rippling across the nodes that had silently watched humanity for so long. As the last sequence transmitted, an unexpected surge of energy coursed through the lab's systems. Every screen blazed with new data as the quantum nodes shifted frequency. "They're responding," Sarah breathed, her fingers flying across the console. The incoming transmission was massive, complex, and undeniably artificial. "They're not just responding. They're opening a channel." The quantum harmonics shifted again, and a new pattern emerged on their screens. It was structured, deliberate, and carried what could only be language. Humanity's first real contact with an alien civilization wasn't happening through radio waves or physical encounters, but through the very quantum fabric they'd been using to observe Earth. As Sarah and her team worked to decode the transmission, one thing became clear: their watchers were surprised, perhaps even concerned. Humanity had developed quantum harmonic technology centuries ahead of their projected timeline. They had proven themselves more capable, more innovative than expected. The first decoded message was brief but profound. "You were not meant to see us yet, but now that you have, we must talk." Sarah stared at those words, understanding that everything would change. Humanity had forced the hand of their observers, demonstrated capabilities that couldn't be ignored. They had earned their place at a table they weren't supposed to find for centuries. But as celebrations erupted around the world, Sarah couldn't shake a growing sense of unease. In her years of research, she'd learned that quantum mechanics often had unexpected consequences. They had gained the attention of their watchers, but attention wasn't always a good thing. As the quantum network hummed with increasing activity, she wondered what price humanity would pay for their premature awakening to the greater galaxy. The silent symphony of quantum harmonics that had revealed their watchers was just the beginning. The real test of humanity's readiness was about to begin. The Resonance Protocol. The Alien Confederation's first official transmission arrived 3 days after Earth's initial contact. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in the newly established Quantum Communications Center, surrounded by banks of humming equipment and anxious faces. The message materialized on their quantum displays, each symbol shifting into familiar English characters through their hastily developed translation matrices. "Your species has achieved quantum harmonic resonance ahead of projected developmental timelines. This advancement necessitates immediate evaluation. Prepare for arrival of assessment delegation within 1 solar rotation." General Diana Hayes, the military liaison to the QCC, leaned forward. 1 solar rotation. 24 hours. "They're not wasting any time." "They can't afford to," Sarah replied, studying the quantum signatures underlying the message. "Look at these patterns. Every time we interact with their network, we're learning more about how it works." They know that. In the hours that followed, the world's governments scrambled to prepare for humanity's first physical contact with an alien civilization. But Sarah and her team were focused on something else entirely. The quantum network that had revealed their observers was showing signs of instability. Marcus rushed into the lab, tablet in hand. "Dr. Chen, the harmonic resonance patterns are shifting. Our communications are having an unexpected effect on their network." Sarah pulled up the global quantum field display. The alien observation nodes were vibrating at new frequencies, creating interference patterns that shouldn't have been possible. Their simple attempts at communication were somehow disrupting technology that had functioned flawlessly for centuries. "It's like their system never accounted for two-way communication," Sarah muttered, fingers dancing across her console. "They built it to observe and report, but our quantum signals are creating feedback loops they never anticipated." Dr. Morrison joined them at the display, his face grave. "They're coming to evaluate us, but I suspect they're also coming to fix what we've accidentally broken. The question is, do we try to solve this problem before they arrive, or do we use it as leverage? The debate that followed was intense. Military leaders saw the network disruption as a potential weapon, a way to demonstrate that humanity couldn't be easily controlled. Politicians worried about appearing hostile. Scientists, including Sarah, were more interested in understanding why their quantum harmonics were having this effect. The disruption is expanding, Marcus reported, 12 hours before the delegation's expected arrival. Their entire observation network is starting to resonate with our frequency. It's like we've struck exactly the wrong chord in their quantum symphony. Sarah watched the cascade of effects rippling through the quantum field. Each human transmission caused more interference, more instability. But within that chaos, she began to see patterns, possibilities. Or exactly the right one, she whispered. Marcus, look at this. The interference isn't random. Our quantum harmonics are somehow amplifying certain frequencies within their network. We're not just disrupting it, we're changing it, making it more efficient. The realization struck her like lightning. Humanity's approach to quantum harmonics was fundamentally different from the Confederation's, where they had built a rigid, hierarchical network. Earth's scientists had developed something more adaptive, more dynamic. The interference wasn't destroying their network, it was evolving it. Get me the Secretary General, Sarah demanded. Now. Hours later, Sarah stood before an emergency session of the United Nations, broadcast globally to a world holding its breath for alien contact. The Confederation's quantum network is based on principles of control and observation, she explained. Our quantum harmonic technology, developed in isolation, approaches the quantum field differently. We see it as a collaborative medium, a space for dynamic interaction. This fundamental difference in perspective is what's causing the disruption. She paused, letting the implications sink in. But it's also showing us something incredible. Our primitive approach to quantum physics might actually be more advanced in some ways. We're not just users of the quantum field, we're innovators within it. As she spoke, new data poured in from quantum research centers worldwide. The disruption was spreading, but with it came unprecedented insights into the Confederation's technology. Every hour of interference revealed more about their systems, their capabilities, and their limitations. They're coming to evaluate us, Sarah concluded, but they're also coming because they need to understand how we did this. Our quantum harmonic technology isn't just different, it might be better. The revelation energized humanity's preparations for contact. In labs across the globe, scientists worked feverishly to document and understand the effects of their quantum harmonics. Military strategists developed contingency plans. Diplomats prepared for negotiations from a position of unexpected strength. With just hours remaining before the delegation's arrival, Sarah made another breakthrough. The quantum interference wasn't just revealing the Confederation's technology, it was revealing their intentions. These patterns, she explained to General Hayes and Dr. Morrison, they're not just data transmission protocols, they're command and control signals. The Confederation doesn't just use this network to observe, they use it to maintain their authority over member species. You're saying it's not just a monitoring system, Hayes said slowly. It's a control system. Sarah nodded grimly. And our quantum harmonics are inadvertently showing every observed species in the galaxy how to disrupt it. The implications were staggering. Humanity hadn't just stumbled onto the Confederation's observation network. They had accidentally discovered a way to challenge their entire power structure. As the hours counted down to first contact, Sarah couldn't help but wonder if they had just started something much bigger than they could handle. The first signs of the Confederation's arrival appeared exactly 24 hours after their message. But they weren't what anyone expected. Instead of ships in the sky, the quantum network blazed with new energy. The Confederation was coming, but first, they were trying desperately to stabilize their disrupted network. They're afraid, Marcus realized, watching the quantum calculations stream across his screen. They're not coming to evaluate us. They're coming to contain us. Sarah stared at the shifting quantum harmonics, understanding at last the true magnitude of what humanity had stumbled upon. They had less than an hour before physical contact, and in that time, they needed to decide. Would they try to prove themselves worthy of the Confederation's acceptance, or would they stand firm with the revolutionary technology they had created? As alarms began to sound throughout the facility, announcing the imminent arrival of their visitors, Sarah made her decision. Humanity's quantum symphony wouldn't be silenced. It was time for the galaxy to hear a new kind of music. Symphony of Resistance. The Confederation's arrival transformed the sky into a canvas of impossible geometry. Their ships didn't so much fly as phase into existence, quantum fields rippling around them like heat waves off hot asphalt. 5 vessels, each the size of a small city, materialized in perfect synchronization above major population centers. Dr. Sarah Chen watched from the Quantum Communications Center as the first delegation materialized inside their facility. The aliens, if they could be called that, were beings of crystalline structure and shifting light, their forms barely contained within environmental suits that looked more like liquid metal than solid material. "We are the Oversight Council," the lead delegate announced, its words translating directly into their minds through quantum resonance. "Your species has created an anomaly that must be addressed." Sarah stepped forward, despite the protests of military security. "We created a breakthrough in quantum harmonics, one that your network wasn't prepared for." The crystalline being shifted, its internal lights pulsing with what might have been concern. "Your understanding is incomplete. The network is not merely for observation. It is the foundation of galactic stability." "You mean it's how you maintain control?" Sarah countered. Around them, the quantum field hummed with increasing intensity as more Confederation ships arrived in orbit. "Your network doesn't just watch, it suppresses. It limits development of quantum technologies that might challenge your authority." The delegation's response was immediate and severe. Quantum energy surged through the facility, attempting to override Earth's systems. But humanity had been preparing for this moment. "Now," Sarah called out. Across the globe, quantum research facilities activated new harmonics protocols. The Confederation's attempt to seize control of Earth's quantum technology met not with submission, but with a symphony of resistance. Earth's quantum network didn't fight against the Confederation's control. It danced with it, adapted to it, transformed it. "Impossible," the lead delegate stated, its crystalline form flickering with agitation. "Your technology is primitive. You cannot." "We can," Sarah interrupted. "And we're not alone anymore." On screens throughout the facility, data streamed in from across the galaxy. The disruption caused by Earth's quantum harmonics had spread through the Confederation's network, reaching other observed species. And those species, seeing the possibility of freedom from oversight for the first time in centuries, were beginning to experiment with their own quantum technologies. The Confederation delegates conferred in rapid pulses of light. Their ships in orbit began moving into attack positions, but humanity had anticipated this too. "Before you consider military action," General Hayes announced, stepping forward, "you should know that our quantum harmonics are now entangled with your entire network. Any attempt to attack Earth will cause cascading disruptions throughout your sphere of influence." It wasn't a bluff. In the days since discovering the true nature of the Confederation's network, Earth's scientists had worked tirelessly to integrate their quantum technology with the existing system. They couldn't match the Confederation's raw power, but they had something more valuable: innovation. "Your species develops too quickly," another delegate stated. "The harmony of the galaxy requires controlled progress." "No," Sarah replied firmly. "Real harmony doesn't come from control. It comes from collaboration, from allowing each voice in the symphony to develop its own part." The quantum field surrounding them pulsed with new energy as more species across the galaxy began experimenting with Earth's harmonic principles. The Confederation's perfectly ordered network was transforming into something more complex, more dynamic, more alive. "Your actions risk chaos," the lead delegate warned. millions of years of stability. Stagnation, Marcus corrected, joining Sarah. Your network doesn't just observe us, it holds us back. All of us. But we've shown that there's another way. The delegation's response was cut short by new alarms. The quantum network was experiencing unprecedented changes. Species that had been under observation for centuries were awakening to their own quantum potential, adding their own harmonics to the growing symphony. Sarah watched as the Confederation delegates received updates from their fleet. Their rigid control was slipping, not through force or violence, but through the simple act of shared discovery. Earth's quantum breakthrough had sparked a revolution of innovation across the galaxy. You face a choice, Sarah told the delegates. You can try to maintain control and watch your network tear itself apart, or you can adapt. Learn to work with these new harmonics instead of suppressing them. The crystalline beings shifted and pulsed, their internal lights dancing with rapid calculations. Around Earth, their ships remained in attack position, but made no hostile moves. They were watching, analyzing, perhaps truly seeing humanity for the first time. Your species, the lead delegate finally said, has altered the fundamental dynamics of galactic society in less than one stellar revolution. This was not predicted. This was not possible. That's humanity for you, General Hayes said with a hint of pride. We specialize in the impossible. The quantum field rippled with new energy as more signals poured in from across the galaxy. Other species, inspired by Earth's example, were reaching out. Not in rebellion or anger, but with curiosity, with innovation, with hope. The network cannot be returned to its previous state, another delegate observed. The harmony has been irreversibly altered. Sarah stepped closer to the crystalline beings, her voice firm but diplomatic. Then help us shape it into something better, something that promotes growth instead of suppressing it. Real harmony doesn't come from forcing everyone to play the same note. It comes from finding ways for different notes to work together. The delegates conferred again, their crystalline forms shimmering with rapid exchanges of quantum information. Above Earth, their ships began to shift position, moving away from attack vectors to neutral observation points. Your proposal? The lead delegate asked. Sarah smiled, feeling the quantum field pulse with possibility. Let's start by talking about how we can help each other. Earth's quantum harmonics have shown what's possible when different approaches combine. Imagine what we could achieve if we worked together intentionally. As the negotiations began, Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of pride in humanity's response to this crisis. They hadn't won through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through innovation, adaptation, and the simple realization that true progress comes not from control, but from cooperation. The symphony of resistance had become something more, the first notes of a new galactic harmony, with humanity helping to write the score. Harmonic convergence. 3 months after first contact, Earth had become the unlikely center of a galactic renaissance. The Quantum Communication Center, once a secretive research facility, now hosted representatives from dozens of species, all drawn by humanity's revolutionary approach to quantum harmonics. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at her customary spot before the main quantum display, but now she shared the space with beings of all forms, crystalline Confederation delegates, gaseous entities from the Neurian clusters, and even the silicon-based Litharians. They were all here because of an impending crisis that threatened to tear the galaxy apart. The quantum disruptions are spreading faster than we anticipated, Marcus reported, his holographic displays showing cascading waves of instability throughout the galactic network. As more species adopt Earth's harmonic principles, the old network is becoming increasingly unstable. The lead Confederation delegate, whom they'd come to know as Resonator, shifted its crystalline form anxiously. The network maintains crucial systems across 17,000 worlds. If it fails completely, it won't, Sarah interrupted, her fingers dancing across the quantum interface. Look at these patterns. The instability isn't random. It's evolutionary. The network is trying to adapt, to incorporate all these new harmonics into something more complex. She highlighted a section of the display where Earth's quantum signatures merged with those of other species, creating intricate patterns of interference and resonance. What had started as disruption was becoming something else entirely, a new form of quantum architecture that could accommodate multiple approaches and perspectives. The problem isn't that the network is failing, Sarah explained. It's that it's growing beyond its original design. Like an orchestra trying to incorporate new instruments it wasn't written for. A Neurian representative, its gaseous form swirling with bioluminescent patterns, moved forward. Our scientists have detected similar patterns in our sector. The quantum field appears to be learning. Sarah nodded, excitement building as she pulled up new data. Exactly. Earth's quantum harmonics weren't just different, they were adaptive. When we connected to your network, we accidentally introduced that adaptability into the entire system. Now it's evolving, trying to find ways to accommodate all these new quantum voices being added to the symphony. The revelation sparked intense discussion among the gathered representatives. The Confederation's network had maintained stability through rigid control, but Earth's approach suggested a different path, one where stability came through adaptation and integration rather than suppression. But the cascading failures in key systems, Resonator objected. The transport networks, the communication relays, are trying to transform. Sarah completed. Look at this sector here. She highlighted a region where several quantum relay stations had supposedly failed. The quantum signatures haven't disappeared. They've changed frequency. The system isn't breaking down. It's rebuilding itself. Marcus rushed over with new data. Dr. Chen, we're detecting similar transformations in other sectors. The quantum field, it's creating new connections, new pathways we never thought possible. The gathered representatives watched in amazement as the quantum display showed the galaxy-wide network reshaping itself. Earth's adaptive quantum harmonics had sparked a chain reaction, leading to the emergence of a new kind of quantum architecture, one that could support and enhance the unique approaches of different species rather than suppressing them. This is unprecedented, a Litharian observer noted, its silicon crystal structure resonating with the changing quantum fields. The network is achieving harmonic convergence on its own. Sarah smiled, understanding dawning. Not on its own. It's using all of our quantum signatures, Earth's adaptability, the Confederation's stability, Neurian quantum dynamics, Litharian crystalline resonance. It's finding ways to make them all work together. The implications were staggering. What had begun as a crisis was becoming an opportunity, a chance to rebuild the galaxy's quantum infrastructure into something more robust, more inclusive, and more powerful than anyone had imagined possible. But the transition period, Resonator worried. The disruptions to existing systems will be managed, Sarah assured them, already formulating plans. Earth's quantum technology is adaptive by nature. We can use it to create temporary bridges, maintaining crucial systems while the network transforms. But we'll need help from everyone here. The next weeks saw unprecedented cooperation as species that had never worked together combined their quantum technologies and insights. Earth's adaptive harmonics provided the foundation, but each civilization contributed unique perspectives and capabilities to the effort. The Neurians' understanding of quantum fluid dynamics helped stabilize transitioning systems. The Litharians' crystalline computing arrays processed the massive amounts of data required to track and guide the transformation. Even the Confederation's original network architecture proved crucial, providing the underlying structure that kept the galaxy's essential services running during the transition. As the crisis point approached, Sarah found herself working alongside beings she could barely comprehend, all united by the challenge of shepherding this galactic metamorphosis. The quantum field hummed with the combined efforts of thousands of worlds, each adding their own note to the growing symphony. The network is reaching critical resonance, Marcus announced one day, his voice tense with anticipation. The transformation is accelerating across all sectors. The assembled representatives watched as the quantum display erupted with new patterns, new connections forming faster than their systems could track them. The galaxy's quantum infrastructure was rebuilding itself according to principles that combined the best aspects of every contributing civilization. "It's beautiful," Sarah whispered, watching the quantum harmonics dance across her display. Earth's first stumbling attempts at quantum communication had led to this moment, a convergence of technologies and approaches that was reshaping the very fabric of galactic society. The crisis that had threatened to tear the galaxy apart had instead become the catalyst for something extraordinary. As the new quantum network stabilized, incorporating the harmonics of countless civilizations into a coherent whole, Sarah realized that humanity's greatest contribution hadn't been their technology alone. It had been their demonstration that true progress comes from embracing diversity rather than enforcing uniformity. The symphony of the galaxy was changing, becoming richer and more complex with each new voice that joined it. And humanity, the species that had accidentally started it all, was helping to conduct the transformation. Universal frequency. 1 year after the Great Quantum Convergence, Earth had transformed from a seemingly primitive outlier into a crucial hub of galactic innovation. The Quantum Communication Center, now expanded into a sprawling complex known as the Harmonic Institute, hosted beings from across the galaxy who came to study the unique human approach to quantum physics. Dr. Sarah Chen stood on the Institute's observation deck, watching ships of various civilizations phase in and out of quantum space above the facility. Beside her, Marcus worked on a holographic display showing the latest data from the transformed galactic network. "Sometimes I still can't believe how much has changed," Marcus said, manipulating the quantum signatures with practiced ease. "A year ago, we didn't even know we were being watched. Now we're teaching quantum harmonics to species that have been spacefaring for millions of years." Sarah smiled, remembering the long journey that had brought them here. "We didn't just teach them our technology, Marcus. We showed them a new way of thinking about it. That's what really changed everything." The quantum field rippled as a new ship emerged from phase space, a crystalline vessel belonging to Resonator, the Confederation delegate who had become one of Earth's strongest allies in the transformed galaxy. The being's familiar form materialized on the deck moments later. "The Council of Harmonics is assembling," Resonator announced, its crystalline structure pulsing with excitement. "The final integration phase is ready to begin." Sarah nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and anticipation. The Council of Harmonics, a new galactic governing body that had replaced the old Confederation, represented everything that had changed in the past year. Instead of enforcing uniformity, it celebrated diversity, finding ways to make different approaches work together in harmony. They made their way to the council chamber, where representatives from across the galaxy had gathered. The room itself was a testament to cooperation. Quantum technology from dozens of civilizations working together to create a space where all species could communicate and collaborate comfortably. The network transformation is complete in 87% of galactic sectors, a Neurian representative reported, its gaseous form creating complex patterns in the quantum field. "The new adaptive architecture is functioning beyond our highest projections." The quantum display at the center of the chamber showed the galaxy alight with interconnected harmonics. Where the old network had suppressed development and enforced rigid control, the new one enhanced communication and accelerated progress. Species that had been isolated for millennia were sharing insights and innovations, leading to unprecedented advances in science and technology. Earth's contribution extends beyond the initial quantum breakthrough, a Litharian observer noted. "Your species' approach to problem solving, this tendency to find unexpected solutions, to adapt and innovate rather than follow established patterns, has proven invaluable across multiple fields." Sarah stepped forward to address the council. "We've learned just as much from all of you. The combination of Earth's adaptive harmonics with the Confederation's stability protocols, Neurian quantum dynamics, and Litharian crystalline computing has created something none of us could have achieved alone." The quantum field hummed with agreement as she continued. But more importantly, we've proven that progress doesn't have to come at the cost of stability. Real harmony isn't about everyone playing the same note. It's about finding ways for different notes to work together to create something greater. The display shifted to show new data. Evidence of flourishing civilizations that had been stagnant under the old system. Species that had been deemed too primitive for contact were now contributing unique perspectives to galactic society. The galaxy was alive with innovation, with each civilization adding its own voice to the growing symphony. There are still challenges ahead, Resonator reminded them. As more species develop quantum capabilities, the network must continue to adapt. That's exactly why it will succeed, Sarah replied confidently. We built it to embrace change, not resist it. Every new voice makes the symphony richer, more complex, more beautiful. Marcus brought up a new set of quantum signatures, patterns they had detected at the edges of known space. We're even picking up signals from beyond the galaxy's edge. Other civilizations are noticing our quantum symphony. The council chamber buzzed with excitement at this news. The transformed network wasn't just changing their galaxy, it was reaching out into the cosmos, promising connections with civilizations they had never dreamed of encountering. Sarah felt a deep sense of satisfaction as she watched the representatives discuss these new possibilities. Humanity's accidental discovery had set in motion changes that would echo through the cosmos for generations to come. They had shown the galaxy that true progress comes not from control or suppression, but from cooperation and adaptation. A year ago, she addressed the council. Earth was considered too primitive for contact. Now we're helping to compose a new kind of cosmic symphony. But we're not conducting it. We're just one voice among many, each contributing something unique to the harmony. The quantum field pulsed with the combined resonance of thousands of civilizations, each adding its own frequency to the universal symphony. What had begun with humanity's simple breakthrough had evolved into something far greater, a galaxy where diversity was celebrated, where innovation was shared, and where the music of the spheres had become a true collaboration. As the council session concluded, Sarah stood with Resonator and Marcus, watching the quantum display show the endless dance of harmonics across space and time. They had transformed a system of control into one of cooperation, fear into hope, isolation into connection. The symphony never ends, Resonator observed, its crystalline form reflecting the quantum patterns. It just keeps growing, evolving, becoming more complex and beautiful with each new voice that joins it. Sarah nodded, thinking of how far they had come, and the endless possibilities that lay ahead. That's the real power of harmony, she said, not in making everyone the same, but in finding ways to make our differences work together to create something wonderful. The quantum field hummed with potential, carrying the combined knowledge and creativity of countless civilizations across the cosmos. Humanity's silent symphony had become a universal concert, and every day brought new movements to the eternal song of the stars.